essentially is where the validators rest. And the validators put up to the execution layer for a block to be filled, and then they choose the block with the highest bid to put through. Um, the way that the consensus layer runs the execution layer is done through what's called an engine API, which is a JSON script. I don't actually believe that the PulseChain devs or the Ethereum devs actually have to do anything with the engine API. I believe it's something that if you are running a validator, that you just have to implement as well. So the engine API is what allows the consensus layer to run the execution layer. So essentially, it's just giving it the ability to grab the blocks that the execution layer is filling. So PulseChain, in a sense, will be identical to Ethereum. So when you're thinking about PulseChain, you can think about it that there is going to be 2 chains running it and 3 APIs for a validator to run. So the engine API is designed to run at a 1-to-1 between the consensus and the execution layer. Richard Hart keeps putting out tweets, and he dropped some hints in his last live stream about Aragon and a couple of other clients. So now there's 4 clients that we know about in PulseChain's development, which is great. So essentially, when you're talking about clients, you don't want to run a whole entire blockchain off 2 clients, 1 for each chain. You want to have diversity in your clients. So for instance, if a validator was running 2 clients and one of those had a bug, you always want a fallback client, because otherwise then you have issues within the blockchain itself. So they're really taking each step that is necessary to mitigate risks and fallback risks as well. But the fact that they've actually compiled 4 clients already in such a short period of time showcases that the devs have to be working with the actual client teams themselves, and they're actually making huge progress. Because when they're considering, when they are implementing changes to these clients, the implementation that Richard Hart was talking about is the fact that the supply chain is still changed. So the million X supply difference between PulseChain to Ethereum, that obviously has not changed. So that is something that we once knew that's still going to be the same. So when they're looking at these clients, they have to make massive changes within the clients themselves to allow for the supply changes within the slots. But then that also relates back to the block explorer. So when you think about making massive changes like that, you have to tweak the endpoints. So your block explorer needs to display those now current changes, which is a massive undergoing on its own, which is why I keep hinting out that there is a possibility that maybe they're just going to build their own block explorer. Because to partner with Etherscan, it's about $1 million a year. And it gets extremely expensive. And then Etherscan are picky on who they actually allow. And I think last time somebody reached out to them, they weren't allowing any new people to partner with Etherscan. BlockScout isn't really the best. So there is a possibility that they may be developing their own block explorer. And Richard kind of made a point in one of his tweets stating that there was some issues with Etherscan that could have been better and done better, which hints again, Richard's here to make crypto better and to do things better. So if he's hinting that there is a way to do it, then it is okay in some instance to speculate that he is doing it better. The other thing that people are concerned about is PulseChain's tokenomics now. So PulseChain will be inflationary because ETH is. So essentially, it inflates to play the block rewards to pay the validators to keep the network running. But that also opens up the space that there is no limitation to validators now. The only limitation falls in when you consider it's 32 million Pulse to become a validator. So whatever the total supply of Pulse is, divided by 32 million is how many validators we can actually house. But other than that, there is no limitation to how many validators can run the network. The fees are where the deflationary aspect come in. So EIP 1559, I think off the top of my head it was, is where the burning mechanic comes from. So if you look at Ethereum now, I think it was above 16 Gwei, it then becomes a net deflationary token in Ethereum itself. So we have a massive supply increase in Pulse. So it's too hard right now to speculate what GWEI we will need to be for Pulse to become a net deflationary asset. But I think it's virtually safe to say it will be lower than 16 GWEI, which encourages the fact that only under really certain circumstances will Pulse actually be inflationary. And I don't think those circumstances will be common at all. Considering how large our community is already, it's pretty safe to say that our network's going to be having sustainable volume on it.